was created around 2015, and our main aim was to create a first housing project of this type in Czech Republic, but in the same time to create some structure so we can use our know-how to provide it to other groups of people which want to join us, and to create a network of these house projects in Czech Republic is similar as in Mietshäuser Syndikat. The first idea or first knowledge, there is something like this collective owned housing and these community-based projects. We was like year or 2 years before that, or like 2013 or 14, when in Prague there was some presentation from Mietshäuser Syndikat from Germany, and they got some presentation in one club, and then because already a lot of us from the group we lived in shared flats with more people, so this is a suitable type of living for us. So we started to meet and talking about how we can have this community housing and so on. But these beginnings, of course, were very rough because we didn't have any experience. We went to some real estate agencies and were looking for houses and so on, but we didn't have any legal subject and any money ready, so it wasn't working. So then we realized we have to do it differently a little bit. So we contacted people from Mietshäuser Syndikat and were on some visits in Leipzig and in other cities to look how it looks and to have some inspiration and to see how it's going. From the beginning, we didn't have any legal structure because we absolutely didn't know like if we need it or etc. But our big help for us was from people from Austria, from Linz, and from house project Willy Fred, which is part of the network Habitat, something like Mietshäuser Syndikat, because they were the first project in Austria at all. So they went through similar problems as us with motivation and earning money and forming the group, because they were the first one, not as in Germany, in Leipzig, where there were already a lot of them. So it was the winter in 2017, like January or February, when we went to one weekend. It made a really big change for us, and we were really motivated after this experience. And then we decide, okay, we want to really do it, and now we know more how. And I think like from 2015 to 2017, it was like not so well organized, but after 2017, it was going in more direct way. When we contacted the Mietshäuser Syndikat, we were also on some of their big meetings, which they got this in General Assembly. And one of them was this meeting of this AG International, like 3 years ago. It was in Potsdam, and it was on a house project called ProjektHaus Potsdam. And then we contacted with people here. And in 2018 and then 2019, we got a week-long workshop here, December of these years, when they prepared for us workshops like how to do financing in the campaign, how to decide if you want to buy a building or just build a new one, all these things. And they provide for us like really great support, shelter and food, so we can for the whole week just can have discussions or to visit some house projects in Berlin or in Potsdam. So it was a really big support from them. But unfortunately, last year we were not able to do this because of Corona thing. In Czech Republic is 20-30% is housing cooperatives, but not in some like grassroots. Meaning, yeah, it usually it's based on when you're building, you got this cooperative, and then this one flat means one vote, and that's all. And usually they don't have any common space and so on, so they can stay as a housing cooperative, or they can switch to this association of private owners, which is some special legal structure here in Czech Republic, where then it's more easy for the owner just to sell the flat and so on. Because when you are a member of housing cooperative, you actually don't own the flat, but you own the right to use the flat, and you can just sell the right to it. With a housing cooperative, there is possible privatization of the flat or the buildings, and we don't want it. We want the building to stay, like to serve the people who live in it, like from now till forever. And next problem was with the votes, because in the housing cooperative, there is one flat, you get one vote. And we want to have it like one member, one vote, like a physical person. Then we look at the cooperative without details, because there's also some like just cooperative. But we consulted with a lawyer who actually wrote these things, and he said there is maybe in the case there is some court, there can be problem, because when we are like just cooperative, then the court can look at us as a housing cooperative, because main reason of the legal structure or the legal person is to provide housing. So it was also not suitable for us. So then we decided to use a form called social cooperative, which is it's not so strict, and there is not a real lot of them. It's like maybe 10 of them in Czech Republic, and it can provide housing for its members. So we decided to use this social cooperative, and then our legal working group started to work on it. And then it was really difficult, because none of us is a lawyer, and there is not similar social cooperative in Czech Republic as we want. So we established it in spring of 2019. So it takes years to us to go there. Our first legal structure, which is association Sdílené domy, which should be this umbrella organization for the whole country. So now members of this association are just us, but in the future it should be any other member of these other housing projects. And so this association can provide this control function over the network. On the beginning, we want to just copy the same structure from Germany to Czech Republic, but their legal environment is completely different, so it's not possible. And we don't have so many legal structure as in Mietshäuser Syndikat, because they syndicate alone got two legal structures or two legal persons, as this limited company and verein. And they together, or they created this limited company which owns the house, and there is a verein or association of people who, sorry, there's a lot more of them in Czech Republic. It should be only one association as umbrella, legal person, and then these social cooperatives as owners of the buildings. And in these social cooperatives, the members are the people who live there. The association is a member of the cooperative, and it's only all of the members are physical persons, and one legal person is the association. And in the legal structure is it's written this this legal person have every time it have 25%, no matter of how many members there are, they still have 25%. And for things like selling the house or this cancel this whole project and so on, cooperative have to have 86 or 76 or something like % of it. So always this association have to have a word in it to protect the housing. As in the syndicate, they have 51% in the limited company, and we decided to have like this 25, and in the statutes we made it like on these big questions you need to talk with the association to change it, or to change the statutes, to sell the house, or cancel the whole legal structure of social cooperative. We want to buy an existing building, especially because we don't want to wait if we just start from the beginning. It can take years in Prague, like 3 years, 4 years, and it's too long for us because we need to live cheaper and etc. now, not in like in many years. On the beginning, our expectations were something like, okay, we will have a metro station 5 minutes from our house and forest behind, but we realized house as this doesn't exist. So we want to have it to be accessible by public transport, because in the previous time we also want to, when we were not capable to find house in Prague, we were also looking around the Prague if there will be some possibility, but now we are again more focused back on Prague, because for some people, because of work and so on, it's important to not to travel so long. But even if it was around the Prague, we don't want to use cars so much or at all. So it should be accessible by public transport. Now we are looking for a house which will be something like 500 to 1,000 square meters with something like 10 flats, some space to have when we can be together, some big living room with kitchen and so on. And then if it will be possible to have some public space, to have info shop, food cooperative, workshop, with tools or something like that, when we can, it can be accessible for the people from a neighborhood to have some lectures, parties, I don't know. But we don't want to end it like just clear housing project, but like housing project with, with broader reach. We'll need to have a loan, and the biggest part of the money should be from some bank. For example, 60 or 80% of the price of the house. Or of course, there will be some interest which we have to pay. Then another part, the rest is for 20 or 40%, which we need to find, will be these our savings, and then some direct loans from our friends and supporters and so on, like the same as they have it in Mietshäuser Syndikat. We contacted few banks, and it was problem with it, as a physical person, now it's quite easy to have a loan from a bank for like 30 years. But as a legal structure, it's more difficult, especially because they don't know how to deal with the social cooperatives, because there are actually none, like just as I said, 10 of them maybe. So they are really experienced with limited companies, with private persons, and with housing cooperatives. So they usually just tell us, we cannot provide you this type of financing as for housing cooperatives, but we can provide you this financial product, which you use for these limited companies, or this like on-profit focused legal persons, which means there is much higher interest. For like private person, it's like 2% or 1%. For maybe housing cooperative, it will be similar, and for these limited companies, it's like 6 or 7%. And it's not for long term, because we need long money. We got it like to become a member of the cooperative. you have to pay 20,000 Czech crowns, which is around, I don't know, 800 euros.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided every member have to give a loan to cooperative, at least 80,000 Czech crowns. And then it together, it makes like 100,000 Czech crowns per person, like this basic which they put in. But some of us who got more savings put more, but the lowest limit is this. We tried to contact municipality in Prague in some way if there is possible any kind of support, but it's not. Because they are now creating their own like housing cooperative, and then something like co-housing, Baugruppen, and they got some really interesting deal with one of the with Commerzbank, with really long loan for 50 years or 40 years, but they want to just use it for their own projects, this type of financing. So it's not suitable for us. I also tried to contact this Commerzbank via email, but with no response. You know, maybe when you don't have personal contacts, there is no possibility. So the municipality wants to create some projects which is really similar to us, non-profit housing and some smaller projects, not like 50 flats in one, but just 10 or something. But there are some problems for us with it, because the part of the legal structure is municipality. So they are doing the same part as umbrella organization. So they can attend your meetings and so on. And they also want to provide 20 or 30% of flats in that building to people who works in services, nurses, cops, firemen, teachers, and so on. So for example, then it's possible you will have these bureaucrat from the city on your meeting and a cop as your neighbor, which was not okay for us. We didn't want to rent them because we want to be more independent.
Mm-hmm.
And municipality, because there was this wild privatization in the 90s, when the municipalities sold like 80% or 90% of their belongings or their real estates, mostly flats. So now it's good. There is no more privatization, because now they are more focused on to create social housing and provide this social flats as a municipality. But they don't want to sell the buildings now, because there is like a municipality as a Prague as the whole, and there is like small districts like Prague 1, Prague 2, and etc. till Prague 21 or 22, and they got their own buildings, which are sometimes maybe we can buy, but it's usually really connected with these local politicians, and it's really hard to create the legal structure. It was really difficult, and it was interesting because after we finished the statutes of the social cooperatives, we didn't know what to do next because we were so focused on it. So after we got it, there was like month or 2 months, we absolutely didn't know, okay, what should we do next? Because it was like so big milestone, and without it, we cannot continue. Next problem is, and it still is, how to provide funding, because the banks are still not friends with us. When we tried to contact some banks from Germany, which I think it was GLS Bank, which also provide financing for a lot of projects in the syndicate, they said it's not okay for them because we don't have euro currency in Czech Republic, which is bullshit, because they usually finance projects in other countries, but we are maybe too small for them to talk with us. So we are trying to contact some foundations, which can be more like, they are not so big as banks, so you can talk more with them and tell them more about the projects, and they are not so profit orientated, and so it should be more easy. Usually we got meetings every 2 weeks, but during the summertime it's not so often. And from day-to-day communication we are using group chat, and we have internet forum where we put like these important things, and we also have cloud where we have a calendar and storage of agreements and text records of meetings. And to this technical background, it's quite good, but even when you have these good IT possibilities, it still depends on how people are really motivated or not. When they are motivated, you can have everything on the world, but it's not working. Now we are reaching more these close relatives. And once again, as I said, these things with the foundation, if it will be working, then we will have agreement with this foundation. Okay, they can provide us some percentage of money, and then we will start this, we call it public campaign, when we will have more these like leaflets and some videos and so on. And next step will be in this public campaign when we will have the house, and it will be again more easy for some people to imagine what they are borrowing money to. So now we are in the small circle of friends, relatives, and so on. If we will have this loan from the foundation or a bank, we can make it more public. And next step it will be when we will find house. It will be more easy for us to find more of these direct loans, and maybe because we want to have this public space here, maybe we will use some form of crowdfunding for it, because it will be possible to gain at least like tens or maybe hundreds of thousands to cover the expenses of the public space in the building. We don't want to scale it up until we get the first house, but already there are at least 3 other groups in Czech Republic which contacted us and wants to somehow cooperate with us or join the association. But now we didn't have energy and capacity to put them in. But as we will have the first house, then we want just to meet with them more and to help them to form the group or to find the house and so on, because we didn't want to like split forces to one, because it's a lot of work with just our own, and we want to finish it as soon as possible, because it's already a few years, so